It's the Gear Tester here, and welcome to my plywood penetration test using my Ruger 77 357 Magnum. I'm going to be shooting a stack of 3/4 of an inch plywood sheets at 100 yards. I have 7 of them down at the 100 yard range, and I'm going to be doing that here. This is the last phase of my testing on the Ruger 77 357 Magnum before I do my tabletop review. We're going to be shooting a number of different loads today, and I'll just bring you down here to get a good look at them. Alright, I have the first load we're going to be shooting is the load that I've zeroed this gun with and shot most of the 700 plus rounds with. And this is a 158 grain jacketed soft point 357 Magnum round. This is PMC, okay? That's what I've zeroed the gun with. I've shot a lot with it. It's done very well. And that's going to be the first rounds that I fire down range today. The next group of rounds I'm going to be firing are going to be 2 different loadings of something that's very similar. This is Buffalo Boar's heavy 357 Magnum round. It's the 180 grain, okay? And you can see there the feet per second. I think it's 1,100 feet per second. I believe that's from a revolver, all right? So these are kind of what I would call the Buffalo Bore ammo is kind of like a bear load, okay? You may argue whether 357 Magnum is the right load to be shooting a bear with, or a dangerous game like hogs or something. But if you're going to be doing it with a 357 Magnum, you better have the right bullet, right? And then this is a very similar load. This is the HMS bear load here. This is another 180 grain lead, hard cast lead bullet, just like the Buffalo Bore. And so we'll be shooting both these at 100 yards and seeing how they penetrate through the plywood. Then the last load we're going to be shooting is going to be here, this LeverEvolution by Hornady 357 Magnum 140 grain. And you can see there it has a muzzle velocity, I believe, at least from Hornady, of 1,440 feet per second. Again, I think that's probably out of a revolver. And we'll show you what these have, like a soft rubber tip in them, and they're kind of Hornady at least is marketing this as a great hunting load for a revolver or for a rifle chambered 357 Magnum. Alrighty, well, it's a good day to be outside shooting. It's sunny. I'm having a good time. We'll start shooting here. Alrighty, so there is the plywood that I'm going to be shooting at today at 100 yards. And we'll see if I can hit it here. The first stuff that I'm shooting is the PMC bronze 158 grain jacketed soft point, right? We got 2 hits there. Yep, we got 2 hits right in the center of the board. So we'll check that now. Here we are at 100 yards, checking out the board here. You can see those 2 rounds fired right there from my Ruger 77 357 Magnum. Again, this is the 158 grain jacketed soft point, okay? And this is about a 1-inch group at 100 yards holding at the center of this board. You can see there, okay? Maybe we'll use the 2-inch mark, but right there, it's 1 inch at 100 yards, okay? Cold. These are the first shots today I fired out of the Ruger 77 357 Magnum, and I'm happy. I'm very happy with that level of accuracy. These rounds did not penetrate completely through the board, okay? These did not go through the board. They went, it appears to me. We'll show you here. I can definitely see them. There's a space right here. They penetrated through 4 of these boards, and I believe deformed against the 5th board here. But we'll get that open here in just a second. Okay, so I've laid these boards on their side here. This is the first board right here. You can see the 2 shots through there. I have shot these boards previously on a penetration test that I did with a 357 Magnum from a Smith & Wesson Model 60 along with a 44 Magnum, right? But I made sure to shift the boards, so even if my rounds did accidentally go through a hole that had already previously been shot, it would only get them through one board. These did not, it appears to me, touch any of those holes. So you can see here they exit this area here. This was previously shot, and they continue through this area here and embed themselves here. This is them coming out. This is now entering the third board, and they have kind of joined the third and the fourth board together. Okay, there is some mess here. They come through this board. There's no bullet there, and then you can see here the round right there in the board, at least one of them. Okay, and so this is through the fourth board, and then here you can see they did not exit the fourth board. So we'll get my knife out here. Benchmade Griptilian. Gonna try to do this one-handed without cutting myself. Okay, you can see here, this is this, there's the one of the bullets. I believe the second bullet will be right. Because I shot these rounds so close together, they may have kind of formed together, but you can see there, that's definitely the semi-jacketed load that we just fired. Then there were no bullets left. Okay, I didn't leave bullets in this. And we'll see if we can find the other one right there. I can see it, but I can't probably get it out. Sorry, that was there. But I'm doing this all by myself today out shooting, but there is one of those rounds. The other one is lodged back behind it. Probably didn't penetrate as far because it was struck the other round. But there you go. 4 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood at 100 yards with the 158 grain jacketed soft point round from the Ruger 77 357 Magnum. We'll go and we'll shoot some more here. Alright, we're going to be shooting the Buffalo Bore 180 grain hard cast lead bullets here at 100 yards on this plywood. I just shot the PMC bronze at the same distance. Okay, so we'll just adjust the camera just a tiny bit. Just a little bit more. There we go. I've taped in between the boards. I used blue tape. You can see some on the front there, so that if one of the bullets follows the same channel as one of the previous bullets, I'll know and I can reshoot that again. Alright, so 2 rounds of a Buffalo Bore 180 grains. No idea, that probably hit high. I think I'm seeing a high shot there. We'll go check those out now. Okay, so here we are at 100 yards shooting the plywood penetration test here with the Buffalo Bore 180 grain hard cast lead bullets. Now at about 5 yards I have fired this same exact load out of my 3-inch Smith & Wesson Model 60, and it had 7.5 inches. Well, it penetrated through 7.5 boards. I called it inches, but then I realized these boards are actually 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so it wouldn't have been the full 7.5 inches. But I know with these same exact boards that the pistol at 5 yards with a 3-inch barreled 357 Magnum revolver penetrated through 7.5 of these boards. You can see here. Here is my first my first hit. I believe was here with the Buffalo Bore. I fired holding about here on the board. But then I couldn't tell where I hit, and I remembered that these Buffalo Bores shoot high. My gun again is zeroed for that 158 grain PMC what is that? 58 grain jacketed soft point. Okay, here's my second bullet. I held low, and that's where I hit. Okay, these rounds, well, these are these. Whether you guys can see that, these are these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sheets. Okay. And you can see both of these rounds blew a hole, okay? out the back of those 7 boards. Okay, that's a lot of penetration there. The top one, the bottom one exited where I don't know, I can't recover either one of these bullets, and I may have to go get some more plywood for a later test. Okay, but I do know penetrated right through this top round. You can see there. All right, it penetrated here into this board, and we'll see if I can get the camera. Okay, if I can show you guys this, but there's a 1-inch, probably a soft, like a pine board or something, behind this cardboard. Can you see that? I'll move this up just a little bit more. Okay, you can see there, it blew out the back of the board. So we have more penetration. You can see the round hit right there, exited out the back. We have more penetration than with the pistol at 5 yards, or maybe it was 8 yards that I fired that pistol. You could go look it up. But we have more penetration at 100 yards with the Ruger 77 357 Magnum. I am very happy with the penetration we're seeing there with those Buffalo Bore 180 grain hard cast lead bullets. And I definitely think you could take down a deer at 100 yards with that round. Alrighty, so we'll get these boards back in the position. It might also be important to notice that these boards are a little bit sideways. Okay, so they are leaning back a little bit. So it is penetrating technically through more than just 3/4 inch boards. It's having to go through, okay? So I'm impressed with the Ruger 77 357 Magnum. Let's go shoot those HMS bear loads now, similar to the Buffalo Bores. We're shooting now these 180 grain HMS hard cast lead, I believe, bullets, and to give you guys a little look at what they look like. Here you go. Here are the 2 holes left from the 180 grain HMS bear loads, and they penetrated all the way through. Okay, through the boards. We'll see here. You can see here, second shot there. At least one penetrated all the way through the boards. They seem kind of stuck together. We'll cut them apart here. Yeah, they did blow the tape apart. Okay, that's something the Buffalo Bore didn't do. I don't know if that's because it was lower. All right, so here we go. One is here. Okay, so you can see it could be any of those. Again, so we might have some, that's an old gas check from a 44 Magnum, but you can see here, I believe that's the round still penetrating through, and we have the other here. All right, so you can see there, these are the Buffalo Bore, these are the HMS bear loads. Okay, here are these 2 straight through there. Again, here. And you can see they exited cleanly all the way out, and it blew a lot out of this side here. I went back behind and was looking around. I was sure I wouldn't find a bullet, and I did find a bullet. I have no way of knowing whether this is one of the Buffalo Bores or the HMS bear rounds, but you can see I found the gas check here, and this bullet up on the berm behind where I'm shooting. By the way, one of the HMS bear bullets did again penetrate this other board and continued straight through, just like the Buffalo Bore. They did hit lower. That's probably just because it's a different loading. I do feel that maybe the Buffalo Bore are a little more powerful, but you can see here, here's the gas check, and here is the round there. Bring that up a little bit closer so you can see that there. This is definitely one of my 357 Magnum hard cast lead bullets. I found it about 6 feet up the berm, just laying there in the dirt with the gas check nearby. So I'm really impressed with both the Buffalo Bore and the HMS 180 grain hard cast lead bullets. They're more expensive, but you get what you pay for. 7 Magnum, we're shooting right now. We're shooting these Hornady LeverEvolution 140 grain rounds. These have these flex tip. That's what I'm going to call it, at least right there. You can see there in it. And we're going to be shooting these at 100 yards. Again, at the plywood. I've taped all the holes in the plywood so we know if these follow one of the channels of the previous rounds. We'll zoom in here carefully so we try not to make everybody feel nasty. Okay. It's being very hard for me to see the screen today because of this bright sun, which is wonderful to be out, but hard to see the screen on my camera here. Yep, we're zeroed in there, all right. 2 rounds of the 140 grain Hornady LeverEvolution. Check anyway. You guys know what happened. Okay, these are the 2 holes made by the Hornady 140 grain LeverEvolution ammo. Those are the hollow points. Okay, they've got those flex tips in it. They did not penetrate all the way through. Okay. You can see here. This is from the, well, that might have penetrated all the way through. I thought I taped all these. So that may be one of the rounds at least, though, did not, one of the Hornadys. So we'll look at that here and decide whether, yeah, that top one did not penetrate all the way through. I can tell that now. I'm still struggling there, maybe. I'll have to check that out here as we cut these boards apart. Okay. So you can see here the Hornady rounds hitting here and here, so that's where we're looking basically. See there, right there, and right here. Okay, we did follow on one of these the channel of another round. Okay, that's why I'm shooting multiple shots here. Maybe that's a Hornady that penetrated all the way through. Here again, okay, we are following again another channel, and that bullet just fell out there. Okay, that's the Hornady. So we maybe penetrated further than it would have. You can see it deformed there, but it definitely followed previous channels. Right? Definitely. Let's see around here. Well, let's look for the other Hornady. Let's see. Round coming through here. Continuing. Yeah, it looks like that was the Hornady in exit. Okay. Through that top portion there. And that's probably, see another round here. Right. So here is the other Hornady. So neither one of the Hornadys, I must have failed to tape one of those places. Neither one of those Hornadys, okay, penetrated all the way through. I just dug that one out of the 4th board. Okay, so it looks like both these rounds have to look penetrated through 4 boards. One deformed here into the other board, and one did not penetrate all the way through the 4th board. So that's like 3.5 boards penetration. All right, so similar to those original rounds we fired, the 150 grain bronze PMC ammo, I believe. Okay, so here are these rounds. You can see there they deformed nicely, and depending on what you're shooting, you may want to be using these rather than super penetration at the distance you're shooting. So you're just gonna have to think about that. Here's that flex tip. You can see they did kind of expand there. Some definitely opened up. Again, we're shooting in wood, so wood is completely different than bone and flesh and muscle and fat. So when you're hunting, you know, you can probably expect more, but definitely though, if you're looking for penetration, buffalo bore is the way to go. A heavier bullet. If you're looking for more expansion, maybe more transfer of that energy instead of just blasting right through something, these Hornady, or the after seeing how they did, you know, Hornady is much more expensive than those jacketed soft point rounds, so either ones of those would be good. So right now I just want to recap the information that I learned today shooting the Ruger 77 357 Magnum at 100 yards at sheets of plywood. I chose to shoot plywood because I know how hard it is to put a nail through plywood. I know how hard it is to cut a piece of plywood. And it just gives me a good visual representation, helps me understand the power of a 357 Magnum cartridge at 100 yards fired from the Ruger 357 Magnum rifle. I also shot 22s consistently into plywood, and have found that they penetrate from at least a pistol, a 5.5 inch barreled pistol, about 2 inches into the plywood. Now, the sheets that you guys saw me shoot today were out of, had been out in the sun and in the weather for the better part of about 6 months. So they may not be as strong as some of the sheets that I've shot that were brand new. So there is maybe a little bit of difference there, but feet per second and pounds of energy and things, I struggle with understanding those measurements because I haven't hunted a lot, and I haven't shot items with those centerfire rifles a lot. So for me, shooting plywood gave me a good representation of what these different rounds from the Ruger 77 357 Magnum rifle can do. I'm sure there's lots of reasons why plywood is not the best medium to be shooting, okay? Not the best material to be shooting into. But I chose it because it's relatively available to me, and I just wanted to see what it would do. So the two different loads, we tested 4 loads today. The 2 loads that did the best are the Buffalo Bore and the HSM loads. The 2 that penetrated the least distance are these here you see in front of us right now. And these are the PMC Bronze, okay, and the Hornady 140 grain ammo there, okay. Both these rounds penetrated through 3.5 sheets, okay, 3.5 sheets. You can maybe even say 4 sheets of this plywood, and this plywood is 3/4 of an inch thick, right? I retrieved all 4 bullets that we fired on these, and you can see here I've got the PMC right here. You can see how that deformed, right? And you can see the Hornady here, very similar in the ways in which they deformed. The Hornady maybe maintained a little bit more of their mass higher up on the bullet. I haven't measured these, I haven't weighed them, but okay, they did a good job. What I draw from this is probably your money is best spent on this ammo. Okay, the Hornady, you know, probably will perform better, but you didn't get a lot more penetration. Now, penetration is not the only important thing when it comes to hunting, but it does seem to me that the additional money spent on the LeverEvolution may be misplaced, and maybe having the more rounds and zeroing your gun and shooting more with it might be more beneficial. But I'll leave that to you guys to draw the conclusion there. Both these rounds penetrated through 3.5 sheets of plywood. If my math is right, that is 2.625 inches, okay? At 100 yards, it is at 100 yards, but I'm not overwhelmed with these 2 rounds of power at 100 yards shot out of the rifle. The loads that performed, and I knew these would perform very, very closely together, very similarly, were these Hornady 180 grain and the HSM 180 grain bear load. I think I was saying HMS, and I just want to be clear, this is the HSM load, all right, bear load. These both penetrated through all the sheets of plywood that I had, and that was 7 sheets. They, in the case of each round, one of these rounds would penetrate through that pine board that was an inch thick behind. I did recover one of those bullets, and I'm not sure which one this is. I showed you guys this earlier in the video, but compared to, we'll just compare it for fun to one of the Hornadys. All right, you see it did not deform. It barely deformed at all. A little bit here, but it maintained, I think, most of its mass and the general shape. Okay, and that's because it's hard cast lead. And I was very impressed with that, with these loadings. I don't know whether that's a Buffalo Bore or one of the HSM rounds, but in either case, I was more impressed with the Buffalo Bore ammunition and the HMS compared to the PMC and the Hornady ammunition. And if my math is right again, 7 times 0 .75 is about 5 1/4 inches. And that's, of course, that's all I had. So I could go and I could get more sheets of plywood. I'm probably not going to end up doing that. But definitely, you know, picking your loads with this rifle, knowing your distance, and being careful and precise about your shots is going to be important. The 2-inch group that you saw me shoot at the beginning there with the PMC Bronze, or the 1-inch group that I shot with the PMC Bronze surprised me just a little bit. I tend to get 2-inch groups or a little bit bigger when firing at 100 yards with this particular loading. But I was happy to see it, and I was surprised, and I'm glad that I performed well and that the rifle performed well. I think if you are planning on comparing the Ruger 77 357 Magnum to a real high-powered rifle round, that you're probably going to be unsatisfied. Okay, this is a 243. But if you're comparing the Ruger 77 357 Magnum to a 30-06, a 308, you know, 270, even the 243, it just can't compare, okay? It's really a pistol carbine. It is more powerful than a revolver or a pistol would be shooting the round, because you have an 18.5-inch barrel, and that's good. So I think if you view the Ruger 77 357 Magnum as a super pistol or as a camp carbine, it runs about the same price, about $650, $750, about the same price as a good quality 357 Magnum revolver. This is a Ruger Smith & Wesson 686P. I think if you look at the Ruger 77 357 Magnum as a super pistol, you know, there's no way in the world that I could ever get a 2-inch group at 100 yards with this revolver, and it certainly would not have the power that a 357 Magnum does at 100 yards out of the 18-inch barrel of the Ruger rifle. So the conclusions that you draw and the conclusions I draw may be a little bit different, but in the end, I'm impressed with the way these loads performed out of the Ruger 77 357 Magnum rifle. I think it's a great gun. I'll be producing a tabletop review in the next week or so, and that will be annotated right up here, okay? So you could come back to this video in a week or two and click there, and it'll take you to my tabletop review on the Ruger 77 357 Magnum. You could also, if you want more information, go back and watch my range reports, okay? So I've got range reports 1, 2, 3, and 4 in an unboxing video on the Ruger 77 357 Magnum. I thank you for your views and your subscriptions. My goal is to produce quality video reviews of shooting, camping, and survival gear. This is the Gear Tester, signing off.